Hello YouTube, it's me again, Brad with MacGyver's Woodshop. Today we're going to make some socket chisel handles to replace some that are all beat up on mine. And we're going to take this broken sledgehammer handle and try to turn those into the socket chisel handles. So come on along and let's see how this works. It may fail miserably or it may turn out fine. So let's get started. I'll use the bandsaw to cut the head off the handle, and then I'm going to trim the handle up to give me the most usable wood I can get out of the broken sections. Hopefully I'll have enough for 2 socket chisel handles. Alright, so we've got our stock somewhat milled up. We're ready to take that to the lathe, but first we need to determine the taper of the socket. How I do that is I take something cylindrical, a dowel rod. This just happens to be a plastic grinder case, and I put it in. I mark the depth. This end measures 11/32. The depth is 1 10/32. The top diameter is 20/32. So we can lay that out. That gives us our taper and our dimensions for the taper. This is a handle design that I kind of sketched up. My lathe works not so good, so we'll see if the handle turns out the way the drawing shows. The most important part, the taper has to match the chisel taper, and obviously the handle has to be comfortable in your hand. So let's get the lathe set up and see if we can turn one. So right now I'm using a rough and gouge to round off the hammer handle. I'm trying to remove the oblong area and the broken area without taking off too much material. Finishing up the rest of the blank, getting it round. This part was really long, and later on you'll see that it's a good thing it was. Alright, so now we'll start laying out. This will be the end of the taper. You measure up 1 10/32. That'll be the wide end of the taper. I'm going to come up 3/4 of an inch to start my layout, and I'll make the handle about that long. So this will be the belly, this will be the round part, here's the taper, here's the shoulder. So as the lathe's turning, I just use a pencil to extend my lines all the way around the blank as it's turning. I set my dividers up. This is the small end for here. This is the large end for here. And then the rest of it's kind of freestyle. So I'll use a parting tool to turn the diameter of the tenon down to its small end. I use the calipers to continuously check my size. It's critical that these tenons are exactly what you measured so that the socket fits well with the tenon. So you just keep turning and checking the diameter. So when you get close, you keep checking, and you want to take just a little bit more off, and disaster happens. So what I was told once in woodworking, a good woodworker is not the one who doesn't make mistakes, it's the one that can cover up his mistakes. So we just cut the blank off in half and start over. We turn the small end of the tenon down, then we work on the larger end of the tenon, just continually checking the diameters. Now I'm shaping the taper of the tenon. I've got the top and bottom diameters set, so I just turn to those diameters. There's the tenon. Alright folks, there's our taper. The end will have to be trimmed off a little bit. Now we'll start shaping the handle. So to shape the handle, I use a variety of chisels. A round nose chisel, gouges, skew chisel, the parting tool. I'm setting the shoulder above the tenon. Then I will start working on the belly. Just eyeballing the shape, making it look something similar to what I've seen in pictures. Here's the belly coming in. Just continue to turn. Getting a slight round on the upper end of the handle, and then I'll start working on the top end. Overall, eyeball and freehand. And there you go. One chisel handle, rough turned, getting ready for the final sanding. Well, that's not a bad shape for a roughed out handle. Let's sand it up and see if it's going to look any better. Alright folks, there's the handle in the drawing. A little longer and less fat, but that's the material I had. Let's see how this works. No play, feels really good. Good tap with a hammer, and that'll be seated in there. And now we have a really good socket chisel handle. For the finish, I'm just using a Danish oil finish followed up with a paste wax. I do 3 coats of the Danish oil and then 1 coat of paste wax. Now we're going to use our chisel to open up the paint can of paste wax. Just kidding. We'll use a screwdriver. Let that dry for a little bit and buff it off. One thing I've learned on the paste wax is a shoe brush makes an excellent polishing tool for it. If you followed my channel, one thing I've really enjoyed is having the chest of drawers and the hand tool cabinet right behind the workbench. And there they are, 2 completed chisel handles. I think they came out pretty nice. Well folks, I hope you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making these. Hopefully I might have showed you something. Probably showed you what not to do on a lathe. Overall, I'm really pleased with how they turned out. These were my great-grandfather's chisels. They're Stanley's. So click that like button, subscribe, share the video with your friends. As always, thanks for watching.